to make a decorative cross. I'll take a lump of clay and flatten it out. It's earthenware clay. You could also do this with the homemade play clay that I have on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. Just patty cake the clay out. If you want, you can even use a rolling pin, okay, to even it out, but it's not necessary if you don't have one. Just patty cake it out, flip it over every so often so it's nice and flat. The board will help you to flatten it out. It smooths it out quite nicely. So then, once you have it flat, probably about as flat as your pinky, you know, no thicker than your index finger so that we don't have any explosions. The homemade play clay isn't going to explode, but the earthenware clay could explode in the kiln. So we want to make sure it's not too thick. So then, you take your needle tool, and just because I don't have a paper pattern, that's one thing you could do. You could fold some paper and cut out a nice half of a cross shape, and then you have a pattern to trace. I'm going to wing it. I'm just going to draw a super soft line with the needle tool. The reason I'm going super soft is because if I don't like it, then I redo it. Kind of liking it. Kind of abstract, a little wonky. That's about me, right? For me, wonky. So I'm going to cut all the way through now, holding the tool straight up and down. And if I didn't like it, I would just erase what I didn't like and redraw. So here we go. I'm going to cut all the way through. Did you notice that when I sped up, I went too far and cut into it? Try not to go too fast. There's no reason to rush through a project and end up redoing. So take your time and do it right the first time. So I'm going to get rid of all my little scraps here. And now we've got all these jagged edges. When you're cutting with a sharp tool, whether it be your straightened out paper clip or whether it be a needle tool, you're going to end up with sharp edges when you make cuts. So then you want to pat it down with a gentle, gentle finger. Now it looks like I'm racing through this. I'm not. It's taking me a while to pat down the edge from one end of the cross to the other. Give yourself time and do it slowly. Some people will rush through and end up really wrecking a portion of their project because they've pushed too hard and gone too fast. So now we have to correct that mistake. Pat, pat, pat it down until it's nice and pleasant to look at. So now that I did that, I'm not liking that so much. I'm going to recut and shorten that. It got all stretched out, kind of funny. There we go. I feel better about it. Okay. So then, I like the idea of decorating the cross. So what I'll do is I'll make tiny pieces of clay into little coils and spiral them. It's so easy. Well, it takes practice. I've been making spirals for many, many years, so it's easy for me. But the more gentle you are and the more quick you are to stop rolling, the easier it is to curl into the spiral. So here, 1, 2, 3. That's all it took me to roll it out and gently, gently coax it into a spiral. I'll show you that again. Just take the clay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that was 4 or 5. And then coax it into the spiral. But if you're rolling your coil out and you get distracted and you start talking, then it's not likely to roll so nicely. Do you see all those cracks? It frustrates some of my students because they don't understand why they get so many cracks in their coils, and it's because they took extra time to make the coil. Do it kind of quickly and then gently, gently spiral it. There we go. And it goes, I always tell people take your time, but this is one thing where roll it out quickly, but then take your time to spiral it. That's where you make the difference. And this is just a repetitive pattern. It doesn't have to be this pattern or design. It could be other designs. It could be little beads with a fingerprint in it. It could be little flowers. You decide what's going to be your favorite way to decorate it. But because I started this, I'm going to continue it. There, I'm liking that. Then a couple more for the bottom of the cross. Somehow I feel like there should be more spirals at the bottom of the cross to balance it out, being that it's the bottom that's the heaviest part, that's the base. So I'm going to put 4 down there instead of 3 like on the other parts of the cross. And then while I'm doing this, because it's kind of repetitive, I could be thinking about how will I decorate the very center of the cross? What will pop and be more unique there? And I'll continue thinking about that while I'm scoring and slipping all these parts into place. All these little spirals. It shows a little movement to have these spirals on there. It adds dimension and texture. I like that. And this is earthenware clay. It's gray right now, but once it's fired in the kiln, it will become nice and white. It's a bisque then, and ready to have glaze applied. And it would be fine just to leave it bisque as well. It fires nice and white and clean looking. So if you've got the clay and you get it fired, it doesn't have to be glazed. It can be left as it is. Alright. Let's just pretend I got all of these scratched and wet on, and maybe we can make a little flower. Like on this one I have a spiral in the middle just to continue that look. Well, maybe we could do a flower instead. So, ooh, I like calla lilies. Let's do that. I'm going to roll it out with my pencil. That's another way to roll clay flat when you've only got a small piece of clay. Cut out your little raindrop shape. Pat the edges. Make the center of the flower. Some of you might have seen this in one of my other videos. But that's a sweet shape. And it's a much easier lily to make. You know, a calla lily is a little easier than a regular Easter lily. So that's kind of fun. So then of course I would scratch and wet this in place to make sure that it stays. Well, I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching.